Wow. You really had a good thing going for yourself there, anime. Then you had to go and fuck it all up. Nice. Hey guys, the Black Critic Guy, and boy was I cursed with misfortune today. Not only is BCG Romance Month coming to an end, but the closing anime, and I'm using anime as a plural here, were rather underwhelming. And that's me being nice. First on the chopping block is the romantic comedy Love Tyrant. Love Tyrant begins with Seiji Aino, who I must congratulate on becoming the newly appointed member of the prestigious group of forgettable beta males that I call the rom-com cliche number 9 squad. Congratulations, buddy! Your main character status was truly a failure, and he gets an unexpected visitor at his home, an angel, or in this case, a cupid, named Guri, who mistakenly wrote his name in a Death Note parody notebook called The Kiss Note. And now he must find someone to kiss within 24 hours, or Guri dies, and he remains a virgin for life. He picks a sweet, nice girl that he has a crush on, Akane, but discovers that she has some yandere tendencies to her. Nevertheless, they write her name together with Seiji, and they kiss and become a couple. But, not wanting to be left out, Guri also wrote her name with Seiji and Akane's, so she can learn what it means to love. And together, the three get into crazy situation after crazy situation. Now, somebody recommended this anime to me about a couple weeks ago in my MMO Junkie review. The title really struck a chord with me. It piqued my interest. Love Tyrant? What's that all about? And since it was relatively short, only 12 episodes, I said, what the hell? I'll give it a watch. And that I did. And I must say, Love Tyrant is a fine example of an anime with a good start that starts falling apart with each new episode. It had the makings to be the next Defrag, or Is This a Zombie? Instead, it ended up being the next Good Luck Girl, minus the funny references. So how did this all come to be? Well, let's find out, shall we? Let's be fair to the anime first and address what it got right. I, for one, thoroughly enjoyed the first 3 episodes as they fully embraced its premise and had fun with it. Now, I will admit the first episode is a bit sloppy in its world building and setting the rules, more on that later, and throws so much at you in the span of 24 minutes. It's like, hey, here's a notebook that makes people fall in love. Oh, that's not crazy enough? Okay then, well, if you don't write someone's name next to yours, the user dies and you remain a virgin for life. Alright then, if you say so. Okay, I picked this one girl right here. She seems like a level-headed, wholesome, sweet, very popular girl.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Okay, well, I can live with that so long as there's no other complications. Too bad! I want in on this relationship too! And by the way, since we're paired, we all have angel powers, so we can't die! Okay, fine. I can handle this so long as it's just the 3 of us. I love you, Onei-chan! God damn it! The first episode throws everything but the kitchen sink at you. But give it time though, I'm pretty sure they're planning to toss that in as well. But despite all that, Episode 1 is my favorite episode in the entire series, mainly because it held my attention more than any other episode, and it kept me on my toes guessing what will come next. I mean, it was just full of surprises, and each one was better than the next. Plus, it was just so funny and entertaining. Other things I quite enjoyed include the character designs, as each had their own distinct look to them. The voice acting is serviceable, but nothing impressive, nothing to really run home about. There's some decent moments of comedy here and there that did have me chuckling a bit, although the comedy deteriorates as the series progresses. More on that a little later. And finally, the opening theme is excellent. I was immediately hooked the moment I heard it. It's such a fun, catchy, upbeat song, and its energetic tone coupled with the zany animation and cutesy singing voices really helped to sell the expected direction of the series. I could argue it's the best thing Love Tyrant has to offer. If anything, it's the only thing that really stuck with me till the very end. Which, if you really sit and think about that, that's rather sad. In a 12-episode anime, the best thing that you could offer is a great opening theme? What a shame. And speaking of shame, let's discuss some of the anime's most shameful displays. The biggest problem that plagues the entire anime is its tone. It suffers from a literary term I recently learned called bathos, which is when a dramatic moment is undercut by an out-of-place or forced comedic relief. It's a common problem found in many anime, especially rom-coms, and can also be seen in a lot of Marvel films. Think Thor Ragnarok.
Then you have seen Ragnarok, the fall of Asgard, the great prophecy.
Hang on. I'll be back around shortly. Do I really feel like we were connecting there?
But here in Love Tyrant, it's the opposite effect, as it's not dramatic moments ruined by comedy, but comedy ruined by out of place and forced dramatic moments. It goes from, I'm gonna use my kiss note to make guys fall in love with each other, ain't I silly? To, why don't you love me, senpai? The first 3 episodes did a fantastic job at setting up the tone and expectations of the series. It even had a fun story with so many comedic possibilities, with Seiji helping Guri find potential couples to hook up. Think The World God Only Knows, but Seiji does not hook up with the other girls. This could have worked perfectly fine on its own. But by episode 4, the anime pulls a 180 and shifts most of its focus towards this overblown, drawn out, way too serious story arc dealing with Akane's family melodrama bullshit, and the last 2 episodes focusing on Guri turning evil and the main characters trying to save her. Now, on their own, these are not bad story elements. In fact, in a better anime, these story elements could have worked. But they have no place in an anime that tries so hard to promote itself as a romantic comedy. Not to mention how cliche and poorly executed they were. The reason the drama doesn't work here is twofold. First, they don't fully commit to it. They'll set up a dramatic scene, but they'll still have exaggerated expressions or characters acting silly, which muddles what the tone of the scene is. If you want the scene to be taken seriously, then commit to it 100%. Don't go 95% serious and then the other 5% to a stupid gag. It goes to show that they should have abandoned being serious and just commit to being silly. That's what we expected anyway, and honestly, I don't see why these dramatic scenes couldn't be comedic in nature and also resonate with the audience. If you had a good writer on board, you could have pulled this off. I've seen many anime that are purely comedic but still have very sentimental, touching moments. And secondly, the drama betrays what the characters were established to be. Whatever likable or interesting qualities the characters displayed during the comedy are missing once the tone switches to drama. They become stern, stark, and dull, the complete opposite of their character. Take, for example, Akane. When the anime is not trying to desperately take itself seriously, Akane is a lot of fun to watch. The way she overreacts to Seiji flirting with Guri or other girls and goes into yandere mode was a hoot. But once the drama enters, all those entertaining traits are sucked away, leaving an empty, bland character. she becomes a shell of her former self. Basically, there's a huge lack of consistency, not just with the characters, but the anime overall. And this is further supported by the way the rules of this world works. Spoiler alert, they don't. In the first episode, they establish the rules of the Kiss Note, stating that whoever's name is written in it will fall in love with the person paired up with them in the notebook and will be together forever. But later, it's revealed that the notebook doesn't make people fall in love, but actually creates the chance to fall in love. What? Then there's the whole Guri must use the Kiss Note and hook people up every day or else she'll die and Seiji and Akane's souls will be sent to hell element to the story, which helps to create some sense of urgency and a dilemma the characters must face. But there are long stretches of episodes where they don't even bother using the Kiss Note. Hell, I think that they forgot about it because they don't even bring it back up until episode 11. And keep in mind, that's just some of the inconsistencies pertaining to the rules of this anime. There are plenty more of them, but I think I've made my point very clearly. The story showed promise, especially with the matchmaker angle they initially took. But as stated before, it was inconsistent with its tone and direction. Does it want to be an all-out ridiculous rom-com, or does it want to be taken seriously? Much like Good Luck Girl, you can't be both, especially when you take it to the extreme on both sides. But another nagging problem with the story is the lack of tension. Around episode 4, Seiji is kidnapped by a Yunogasai wannabe and tortured by her. And as she's torturing him, I say to myself, what's the point of this? There's no tension here because I know that he can't die and I don't care much for him to begin with, so there's no emotional stakes in it for me. It again was pointless drama. Oh, and while we're addressing the torture scene, in the next episode, Seiji dies momentarily after being tortured by the Yuno ripoff and goes to heaven. Well, wait a minute, I thought he couldn't die because he was paired up with Guri, and being paired up with Guri means that he has some immortality to him. So, how did he die? He couldn't have died from his wounds, he couldn't have died because he had a heart attack or something, he can't die. Do you see what I mean by inconsistencies? There are so many of them in this series. And while we're on the subject of stories, the more that the drama became the focus of the story, the weaker the comedy became. And sometimes the comedy just felt out of place because they were focusing predominantly on the drama. So when characters are acting silly or make those silly faces and act all comical in these dramatic scenes, it's so off-putting and it goes against the tone. And I'm like, okay, well, if this was just straight up a comedy, I would have been perfectly fine with these silly faces, but they're treating this moment very seriously, so this comedy is so out of place. Not to mention that it wasn't even funny, it was poorly delivered. And finally, the characters. Like the story, initially, they were interesting and likable. I was excited to see where they would take them, as their potential to be great characters was quite favorable. Seiji showed the makings of a great comedic straight man, almost Kazuma-esque. Guri seemed like a light-hearted, energetic, fun girl who had a bit of Mako in her. Akane was an interesting blend of the sweet girl and a yandere, and Yuzu seemed like a nice addition to complete our gang, although the whole incest vibe I could have done without. But after episode 4, their shortcomings and inconsistencies become more visible. Seiji becomes the typical romantic lead, just a nice guy who all the main girls fawn over, but doesn't have a distinct personality. Or in other words, he's boring! Guri was the most consistent out of all the characters, as she retained her silliness for most of the anime. But she does have her moments where she's completely out of character. She's not a character who takes things very seriously, and they don't even bother to develop her enough to show her growing into a character like that. she switches on a dime. Same thing goes for Akane. Sometimes she's an over-the-top yandere, other times she's completely stoic and serious, and there's no build-up to it. It just comes out of nowhere half the time. And don't even get me started with the incest duo over here. And speaking of relationships, outside of Seiji and Akane, the relationships are weak and unbelievable. The one that disappointed me the most was Seiji and Guri. What could have been a dynamic relationship in the spirit of Yusuke and Botan or Keima and Elsie became more like Ichiko and Momiji from Good Luck Girl. It seemed as though Seiji just tolerated Guri rather than connected with her. I felt no love between the two. Even by the end, when they go on that cliche mission to save Guri, it never felt like he did it purely out of love or admiration. It felt like he did it more out of obligation because they happen to be friends. And even that's questionable. Overall, Love Tyrant had all the potential in the world to be a delightful, wonderful, enjoyable, and memorable romantic comedy anime. But its lackluster execution, coupled with its many inconsistencies and misguided push for unnecessary melodrama, prevents it from being anything else but an easily forgettable anime. But as always, guys, I'm not the end-all be-all opinion when it comes to Love Tyrant. I would very much love to know where you all stand on this anime. Do you love it to death? Is it one of your favorite anime to watch? Or do you find it boring, dull, you couldn't get into it, and you agree with all my points? And do let me know what is the most frustrating and disappointing romantic comedy anime you've seen so far this year. Comment below, let me know, and stay tuned, got more videos coming your way, including a special video that I'm hoping to release after this one. I don't know whether or not I'm going to get to it, but I'm crossing my fingers that I'm able to get to it. And also, I got the next chapter of my ongoing Let's Play series on Doki Doki Literature Club, if you guys are so interested to check it out. And I want to take this time to personally thank each and every one of the patrons who have graciously donated to my Patreon account. It's because of people like you that I'm able to make videos like these. And if you'd like to support the Black Critic Guy just a smidge more, consider donating to my Patreon account. Even if you donate $1, that goes a long way to help support this channel. There's a link in the description to my Patreon account if you would like to donate. And as always, guys, if you would like to see more videos on this channel, be a part of the Black Critic Group, please hit that subscribe button below, like this video if you really enjoyed it, and I'm telling you in a second, the true Love Tyrant as the Black Critic Guy. Till then, peace, YouTube.